What happens when the very technology designed to make money transparent becomes the perfect tool for the darkest transactions imaginable? Commander Tom Mitchell was about to discover that answer in the most brutal way possible, starting with a phone call that came at 3:17 a.m. on a bitter February morning in Washington, D.C. Mitchell Security Solutions, he answered, his voice still thick with sleep. After 30 years of military service, old habits died hard. He was always ready for the call that could change everything. Commander, this is Director Catherine Walsh, Treasury Department. I need you and your team at the Hoover Building in 2 hours. We have a situation that requires your particular expertise. Mitchell sat up in bed, instantly alert. Walsh wasn't someone who made casual calls, especially not at this hour. What kind of situation? The kind that could destabilize global financial markets if it gets out. Cryptocurrency-based weapons trafficking. And Tom, your name came up in the investigation. The line went dead, leaving Mitchell staring at his phone in the darkness. His security consulting firm had handled plenty of high-profile cases since his retirement, but nothing that would put his name in a Treasury investigation. Unless, 2 hours later, Mitchell walked into a room filled with federal agents, military officials, and enough computer screens to launch a space mission. Director Walsh, a sharp-eyed woman in her 50s, gestured him toward a chair at the head of a conference table. Before we begin, Walsh said, I need you to understand that everything you're about to see is classified at the highest levels. We're dealing with a sophisticated criminal organization that has infiltrated cryptocurrency exchanges to facilitate arms deals worth over $2 billion. She clicked a remote, and the main screen displayed a complex web of blockchain transactions. This is just the tip of the iceberg. They've been using various cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Monero, to purchase military-grade weapons for black market dealers. The buyers include terrorist organizations, drug cartels, and at least 3 hostile nation-states. Mitchell studied the diagram, his military mind automatically analyzing the patterns. What does this have to do with me? Agent Rodriguez, a young man with tired eyes, stepped forward. 6 months ago, your security firm was contracted to provide protection for CryptoVault, one of the largest cryptocurrency exchanges in North America. That's right. Standard corporate security. We handled their executive protection and facility security. During that time, Walsh continued, someone with high-level access used CryptoVault systems to launder money for weapons purchases. The digital fingerprints lead back to military-grade encryption protocols, the kind only someone with your background would know. The room fell silent except for the hum of computers. Mitchell felt the walls closing in, but kept his expression neutral. Are you suggesting I'm involved in this? We're not suggesting anything yet, Walsh replied. But we need your help to find out who is. Because whoever did this didn't just steal money. They stole weapons that are now being used to kill American soldiers overseas. She clicked to the next slide, showing surveillance photos of Mitchell's former team members. Captain Sarah Chun, his communications specialist. Sergeant Major Mike Torres, explosives expert. Lieutenant Colonel James Wright, cyber warfare specialist. All had worked with him at CryptoVault. One of your people is involved, Mitchell. And we need to find out which one before more people die. Mitchell stood up slowly, his mind racing through possibilities. What kind of weapons are we talking about? Agent Rodriguez pulled up another screen showing military hardware. Stinger missiles, C4 explosives, advanced night vision equipment, encrypted communication systems. Enough firepower to equip a small army. And the scary part? The cryptocurrency trail shows this has been going on for over 2 years. 2 years, Mitchell repeated, thinking back to when his security firm first started taking corporate contracts. That would put the starting point right around when I began working with defense contractors again. Walsh nodded grimly. The timing isn't coincidental. Someone has been using your reputation and connections to gain access to systems they never should have touched. The question is whether you're a victim or a co-conspirator. Mitchell's phone buzzed with a text message. Unknown number. Stop digging or Sarah pays the price. You have 48 hours. He showed the message to Walsh, whose face immediately hardened. Sarah Chun. She was supposed to be here today for questioning, but she didn't show up. When was the last time anyone heard from her? Yesterday evening. She left her apartment around 8 p.m., supposedly to meet a friend for dinner. She never came back. Mitchell felt the familiar surge of adrenaline that preceded combat. Someone was targeting his people, using them as leverage against him. But leverage for what? Agent Rodriguez was typing furiously on his laptop. Commander, I'm seeing something strange here. The blockchain analysis shows that many of the weapons purchases were made during times when you were verifiably elsewhere, testifying at congressional hearings, speaking at military conferences. Either you have the ability to be in 2 places at once, or someone else is using my identity and access codes. Mitchell finished. This isn't about money laundering. Someone is systematically destroying my reputation while building a weapons trafficking empire. And they're using my team as insurance policies. Walsh leaned forward. Who would want to destroy you, Mitchell? Who has the technical expertise to pull off something this sophisticated? Mitchell thought about his 30-year military career, the enemies he'd made, the operations that had gone sideways. One name kept surfacing in his mind, a name he'd hoped never to hear again. Colonel Marcus Volkov, he said quietly. Russian military intelligence. I was responsible for shutting down his weapons trafficking operation in Eastern Europe 15 years ago. He swore he'd get revenge. Volkov disappeared after his operation was compromised, Walsh said. We assumed he was dead. Assumptions get people killed, Mitchell replied. If Volkov is behind this, then Sarah Chun is just the beginning. He'll target everyone I care about until I'm completely destroyed. And he'll use the cryptocurrency network to fund operations that could destabilize entire regions. His phone buzzed again. Another message. Remember Belgrade, Mitchell. You took everything from me. Now I'll return the favor. Check your bank account. Mitchell opened his banking app with trembling fingers. His account showed a deposit of $50 million in cryptocurrency, made just minutes earlier. Agent Rodriguez was already tracking the transaction. That money came from the same wallet used to purchase RPGs that killed 12 American soldiers in Somalia last month. He's framing me, Mitchell said, making it look like I'm the mastermind behind all of this. Walsh stood up, her expression grim. Tom, I want to believe you. But right now, all the evidence points to you as either the leader of this operation or its biggest victim. Either way, we need to find Sarah Chun and shut down this network before more weapons hit the streets. Give me 48 hours, Mitchell said. Let me find my people and trace this back to Volkov. But I'll need resources, and I'll need you to trust me despite what the evidence shows. Why should we trust you? Rodriguez asked. Mitchell looked around the room at the federal agents and military officials. Because if I were really running a $2 billion weapons trafficking operation, would I be stupid enough to use my own bank account and leave a trail that leads directly back to me? This is a setup, and Sarah Chun is going to die if we don't move fast. Walsh was quiet for a long moment, studying Mitchell's face. Finally, she nodded. 48 hours. But you'll have FBI surveillance, and if you try to run or contact anyone on our watch list, we'll bring you in. Understood. But I'll need access to the crypto vault systems and permission to contact my other team members. Done. But Mitchell, Walsh's voice carried a warning. If you're playing us, if Sarah Chun dies because you're protecting your own operation, I will personally ensure you spend the rest of your life in a federal prison. As Mitchell left the Hoover building, his mind was already working through possible scenarios. Volkov was smart, patient, and ruthless. If he had Sarah, he wouldn't kill her immediately. She was too valuable as bait. But Mitchell knew his former team members were all potential targets now. His first call was to Mike Torres. The phone rang 6 times before going to voicemail. His second call was to James Wright. Same result. By the time Mitchell reached his car, he realized the full scope of Volkov's plan. This wasn't just about revenge or money. It was about destroying American military credibility while building a cryptocurrency-funded shadow army that could operate anywhere in the world. The drive to Crypto Vault's headquarters gave Mitchell time to think. The company occupied a gleaming 40-story tower in downtown D.C., its servers processing billions of dollars in cryptocurrency transactions every day. When his security firm had first been contracted to protect the exchange, Mitchell had been impressed by their security protocols. Now he realized those same protocols had been turned against them. Crypto Vault's CEO, Jennifer Park, met him in the lobby. She was younger than he'd expected for someone running a multi-billion-dollar operation, probably early 30s. With the intense focus that came from building an empire in an unforgiving industry. Commander Mitchell, she said, extending her hand. I wish we were meeting under better circumstances. The FBI has been all over our systems for the past week. They're treating us like we're criminals. From their perspective, someone used your platform to fund terrorism. That makes you either complicit or incompetent. Neither is a good look. Park's jaw tightened, but she nodded. Fair enough. What do you need from us? Access to your transaction logs, employee records, and security footage from the past 6 months. And I need to know who had administrative access to your systems during that time. They rode the elevator to the 35th floor, where Crypto Vault's security operations center occupied half the building. Banks of monitors showed real-time transaction data, market movements, and security alerts from around the globe. Here's what we know. Park said, pulling up a holographic display that showed blockchain transaction patterns. Someone with level 5 administrative access was creating wallet addresses and routing transactions through mixing services to obscure their origins. The amounts were relatively small, never more than 10 million per transaction, but they added up over time. Mitchell studied the patterns. Who had level 5 access? Only 12 people in the company. Our senior developers, security team leads, and she paused, looking uncomfortable. And your team members, Sarah Chun, Mike Torres, and James Wright all received temporary level 5 access during the security upgrade project. Mitchell felt a chill run down his spine. Where did they get that access? 6 months ago, right around the time the suspicious transactions began. A new voice cut through the conversation. But here's the interesting part, Commander. Mitchell turned to see a young woman in her 20s approaching. Probably one of CryptoVault's blockchain analysts based on her multiple monitors and the cryptocurrency-themed stickers covering her laptop. I'm Alex Chun, she said. No relation to your Sarah Chun, by the way. I've been tracking these transactions since the FBI got involved, and there's something that doesn't add up. She gestured to her workstation, where complex transaction diagrams filled multiple screens. The person moving this money was good, really good. They used privacy coins, mixing services, time delays, everything you'd expect from a professional operation. But they made one mistake. What kind of mistake? Mitchell asked. Timing. Every single suspicious transaction occurred during periods when your team members were verifiably somewhere else. Sarah Chun was teaching a cybersecurity course at Georgetown during 3 of the largest transfers. Mike Torres was testifying before a Senate committee during 2 others. James Wright was at a conference in London when someone allegedly used his credentials to move $20 million. Mitchell felt a spark of hope. Someone was spoofing their credentials. More than that, Alex continued, someone was deliberately creating a false trail that would implicate your people while giving them alibis. It's like they wanted the investigation to eventually clear your team, but still cause maximum damage to your reputation. Park frowned. That doesn't make sense. Why go through all that trouble? Because, Mitchell said, understanding beginning to dawn, the goal isn't to frame my people permanently. It's to destroy trust in military contractors' ability to handle sensitive operations. Volkov doesn't care if the charges stick. He just needs to create enough doubt to damage relationships between the military and private security firms. His phone buzzed with another message. Having fun following breadcrumbs? Sarah says hello. Coordinates 38.8951 degrees north, 77.0364 degrees west. Come alone in 2 hours, or I start sending pieces. Mitchell recognized the coordinates immediately, the Lincoln Memorial, a public place where Volkov could control the situation while maintaining deniability. I have to go, he said, showing the message to Park and Alex. You can't meet him alone, Park protested. It's obviously a trap. Of course it's a trap. But Sarah Chun is out there, and if I don't show up, she dies. Alex, I need you to keep tracking those transactions. See if you can find any patterns that might lead us to Volkov's current operation." "Commander," Alex said, "there's something else. Some of the weapons purchases were made using a new cryptocurrency, one that doesn't show up on any legitimate exchange." "What do you mean?" "It's called Shadow Coin. Completely anonymous, untraceable, and apparently backed by some kind of physical asset. The blockchain exists, but it's running on darknet servers. Whoever created it has essentially built their own financial system outside any government oversight." Mitchell felt the pieces clicking into place. Volkov isn't just using existing cryptocurrencies to fund weapons deals. He's created his own currency to finance a shadow war. And he's using my reputation and my team to protect his operation while he builds it. As he headed for the Lincoln Memorial, Mitchell's mind raced through contingency plans. He couldn't bring backup without risking Sarah's life, but he also couldn't walk into Volkov's trap unprepared. The Russian was too smart, too experienced to leave anything to chance. The February afternoon was bitter cold, with a wind that cut through even Mitchell's military-grade winter coat. The Lincoln Memorial steps were nearly empty except for a few hardy tourists and what looked like a homeless man sleeping near the base of the monument. Mitchell's phone buzzed. Walked to the reflecting pool. "Come alone." As he approached the long rectangular pool, Mitchell spotted Sarah Chun immediately. She was sitting on a bench about 50 meters away, apparently reading a book. But even from a distance, Mitchell could see the tension in her posture, the way she held herself like someone under threat. "Sarah," he called out as he approached. She looked up, and Mitchell's heart sank. Her face was bruised, her left eye swollen, nearly shut. But she was alive. "Tom," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." "Sorry for what?" A new voice answered from behind him. "For believing she had a choice in the matter." Mitchell turned to see Colonel Marcus Volkov emerging from behind a maintenance building. The years hadn't been kind to the Russian. His hair was gray now, his face lined with scars that hadn't been there 15 years ago. But his eyes still held the same cold intelligence that had made him such a dangerous adversary. "Hello, Mitchell. You look well. Retirement suits you." "Volkov, I thought you were dead." Many people thought that. It was useful for a while. Amazing how much you can accomplish when the world believes you no longer exist. Mitchell kept his hands visible, non-threatening. "What do you want?" "What I've always wanted. Justice. You destroyed my operation, killed my men, ruined my career. Now I'm returning the favor. By framing innocent people, by funding terrorism." Volkov laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Innocent? Your precious military-industrial complex has killed more people than my little weapons operation ever did. I'm simply leveling the playing field. The weapons you're selling are being used against American soldiers." "Yes, I know. Poetic, don't you think?" Volkov gestured towards Sarah. "Your friend here has been most helpful in explaining how your security systems work. Did you know she can hack into military databases using nothing but a smartphone and a cryptocurrency wallet?" Sarah shook her head frantically. "Tom, I didn't tell him anything important. Just basic security protocols, nothing classified." "She's lying, of course," Volkov said conversationally. She told me everything. How your firm operates, who your clients are, what contracts you're working on. Very thorough, your Captain Chun. Mitchell felt rage building in his chest, but he forced himself to stay calm. What do you want, Volkov? You've got your revenge. My reputation is destroyed. My company is finished. Sarah is innocent in all this. Innocent. Volkov pulled out a tablet and showed Mitchell a series of cryptocurrency transactions. These are from her personal wallet. Over the past 6 months, she's received payments totaling $3 million, all from shadow coin accounts. Mitchell stared at the screen, his world tilting. That's impossible. Is it? Think about it, Mitchell. Who had access to your systems? Who knew your security protocols? Who could move money through Crypto Vault without leaving obvious traces? Sarah was crying now, tears streaming down her bruised face. Tom, please. I never took any money. I never helped him. He's making it all up. Volkov tapped the tablet again, and audio began playing. Sarah's voice, clearly recognizable. The weapons shipment will arrive at Norfolk on Thursday. Container MSKU 77890023. Mitchell doesn't suspect anything. No, Sarah whispered. That's not. I never said that. Voice synthesis technology has come a long way, Volkov explained. Amazing what you can do with enough audio samples and the right software. I have hours of Captain Chen's voice from her military communications. Creating convincing fake conversations was surprisingly easy. Mitchell understood now. You've been setting up multiple people, creating false evidence trails that implicate everyone around me while giving them alibis. The goal isn't to convict anyone. It's to destroy trust completely. Precisely. By the time I'm finished, no one will trust military contractors, private security firms, or cryptocurrency exchanges. The entire system will be paralyzed by suspicion and fear. And while everyone is fighting over who to blame, your shadow coin operation funds whatever war you're planning. Volkov smiled. You always were quick. Yes, shadow coin is just the beginning. I'm building a financial network that operates completely outside government oversight. Imagine what desperate people will pay for truly anonymous transactions. Drug cartels, human traffickers, terrorist organizations, corrupt politicians. How does Destroy Me help with that? Because you represent everything I hate about the American military system. Your success, your reputation, your precious honor code. When you fall, it sends a message that no one is safe from consequences. It creates the chaos I need to operate. Mitchell's phone buzzed. A text from Alex Chun at Crypto Vault. Found something. Shadow coin servers traced to 3 locations. Sending coordinates. He glanced at the message, trying not to let Volkov see his expression change. But the Russian was too experienced. Expecting reinforcements, Mitchell? I should mention that this entire area is under surveillance. Any sign of federal agents, and Captain Chun dies immediately. Tom, Sarah said suddenly, her voice stronger now. Remember Prague? The dead drop protocol? Mitchell looked at her, confused. They'd never operated together in Prague. Then understanding hit him. She was trying to tell him something using their old communication codes. In their military days, Prague dead drop. meant an emergency situation where standard protocols didn't apply. She was telling him that whatever was happening, it wasn't what it seemed. You mean the church? He replied, playing along. Third pew, left side. Volkov was watching this exchange with growing suspicion. What are you two talking about? Old memories, Mitchell said. We served together for a long time. But Sarah's reference made him think. If this wasn't what it seemed, then what was really happening? Volkov's plan was elaborate, but it had one major flaw. It required him to be personally involved. A man who had supposedly been dead for years was now operating openly in Washington, D.C., kidnapping federal agents and threatening American citizens. Unless Volkov wasn't really in charge of this operation. Mitchell's phone buzzed again. This time it was Mike Therese. Tom, I'm at CryptoVault. You need to see this. The Shadow Coin network isn't just for weapons. It's funding something much bigger. He showed the message to Volkov, who frowned. I thought I told you to come alone. You did. But my people don't follow orders from Russian war criminals. Volkov pulled a gun from inside his coat. Then I suppose we're done talking. Wait, Sarah said, struggling to her feet. Marcus, you promised. If I helped you, you'd let me go. Mitchell stared at her in shock. Sarah, I'm sorry, Tom. I'm so sorry. But he has my daughter. Emma is only 12 years old, and he said he'd kill her if I didn't cooperate. Volkov smiled coldly. Touching family reunion. But Captain Chun has served her purpose. She helped me understand your security systems, provided voice samples for the fake recordings, and most importantly, she brought you here. You bastard, Mitchell snarled. She's a decorated soldier. She doesn't deserve this. None of us get what we deserve, Mitchell. We get what we take. Volkov raised the gun towards Sarah. Goodbye, Captain. The shot echoed across the reflecting pool, sending tourists screaming and running for cover. But it wasn't Volkov who fired. Sarah Chun stood over the Russian's body, smoking pistol in her hand. Sorry about the deception, Tom, but we needed him to reveal the full extent of his network. Mitchell stared at her in confusion. Sarah, what the hell is going on? Operation Shadowfall, she said, pulling out her phone to call for backup. We've been tracking Volkov for 2 years, ever since intelligence suggested he was still alive. The Treasury Department operation, the FBI investigation, even your involvement, it was all designed to flush him out. You mean I've been bait this entire time? The best kind. Unknowing bait with genuine reactions. Volkov was too smart to fall for a standard sting operation, but he couldn't resist the chance to destroy you personally. Mitchell sat down heavily on the bench, his mind reeling. The bruises? The kidnapping. Makeup and method acting. I was never in real danger. But Emma is real, and she is safe. She's been in protective custody since this operation began. Federal agents were already surrounding the area, appearing from concealment positions Mitchell hadn't even noticed. Director Walsh approached, speaking rapidly into a radio. Commander Mitchell, she said as she reached them. I apologize for the deception, but we needed Volkov to believe he was in control of the situation. How long have you known? Mitchell asked. About Volkov being alive? 6 months. About his Shadow Coin operation? 3 weeks. about his plan to frame you and destroy confidence in military contractors, just long enough to set up this operation. Sarah sat down next to Mitchell, her expression apologetic. The hardest part was making you believe I was really in danger. I hated lying to you, but it was the only way to make Volkov believe he was winning. Mitchell's phone buzzed with another message from Alex Chen. Shadow Coin Network is collapsing. FBI raids on all 3 server locations successful. We're estimating they seized over 500 million in various cryptocurrencies. What about the weapons sales? Mitchell asked. The terrorism funding. Walsh smiled grimly. Most of it was our operation. We've been selling decommissioned equipment and tracking the buyers. Every terrorist organization and drug cartel that purchased weapons through Shadow Coin is about to get a very unpleasant surprise. You mean you've been running the world's largest cryptocurrency-funded arms trafficking operation as a law enforcement sting? For 18 months. It's probably the most complex undercover operation in FBI history. And Volkov's revenge fantasy gave us the perfect opportunity to bring it to a close. As they walked away from the Lincoln Memorial, Mitchell realized that his 48-hour deadline had become irrelevant. The real operation had been running for months, using him as an unwitting participant in a global law enforcement sting. So what happens now? He asked. Now we spend the next 6 months arresting everyone who bought weapons through Shadow Coin, Walsh replied. And you go back to running your security company with the grateful thanks of several federal agencies. Sarah looked at him seriously. Tom, I know this was traumatic. Having your loyalty questioned, thinking your people have betrayed you. If you want to transfer me out of the company, I understand. Mitchell considered this for a moment, then shook his head. Sarah, you just pulled off one of the most complex undercover operations I've ever seen. You convinced a Russian intelligence officer, the FBI, Treasury Department, and me that you were a kidnapped victim while actually being in complete control of the situation. I'm not transferring you any. I'm promoting you to senior partner. As they reached Mitchell's car, he reflected on the past 48 hours. He learned that cryptocurrency could be used to fund terrorism, but also to catch terrorists. He discovered that his most trusted team member was keeping secrets, but only to protect national security. And he'd been reminded that in the modern world, the line between ally and enemy, truth and deception, justice and revenge, was thinner than ever. His phone buzzed one final time. A message from an unknown number. The king is dead. Long live the queen. Mitchell showed it to Sarah and Walsh, who exchanged glances. What does that mean? Mitchell asked. It means, Walsh said grimly, that Volkov wasn't working alone, and whoever was really running the Shadow Coin Network is still out there. As Mitchell drove away from the Lincoln Memorial, he realized that solving one mystery had only revealed a larger conspiracy. In the shadowy world of cryptocurrency crime, every answer led to new questions, and every victory came with the promise of greater challenges ahead. The war against financial terrorism was far from over. It was just beginning. And Commander Tom Mitchell was about to discover that sometimes the most dangerous enemy is the one you never see coming.